Hi there everyone, thanks to my new subscribers and to my old subscribers. So tonight I'm going to do the truth about his feelings. Pick a card, you choose a number, 1 or 2, and the timestamps are in the description box. I have pulled for the first deck the Hermit, the 9 of Cups and the 2 of Cups. So I get the impression here that you're quickly becoming the sole focus in your person's life. I feel that your man has been in deep meditation and deep contemplation. And it's a situation now where they want to basically be your knight in shining armor. You're actually the only person that he's thinking of at the present time. I feel that he is highly spiritual and he's very devoted to himself and his own endeavors. He's also very successful or has a background of success. But he seems to appreciate your independence because he feels it's a reflection of himself and his personality or his characteristic, where he just wants to be alone sometimes and for quite a time. We're talking a cycle of solitude, and he feels that you can be basically loners together. So you must be fairly independent. Because even though I feel you are both quite sociable, it seems to me on this level, in terms of your sense of independence and your introversion, it's very similar. It's a very similar characteristic. It's like you're very compatible on that level. So I feel that he's grown supremely loyal to you simply by thinking about what you mean to him. So I get the impression here he's just imagining how he can romance you. Presently, he just wants to basically take you in his arms. There's some kind of leadership he has in that thought, so a sense of leadership. So it means to me that he wants to take charge of your love relationship at the present time. But it's funny because it's showing up after a time of being apart, of both being pretty much on your own. It shows that you find sort of like a common ground into the future. So I'm just wondering here, I feel there's a sense of trust that he has. You know, he has a sense of security when he thinks about you. And when he's stressed, he tries to reduce that stress and create calmness for himself by thinking about you, thinking about the trust you put in him. I feel there's a mutual trust between you. But it's gone further than that. It's developed a type of depth to it. And I really feel that you can trust in this person. I feel like it's an intelligent association. I feel that when you spoke to one another, you understood straight away that it was a very non-threatening association. That's the impression I get. But also I feel that this is a person from your past. So the impression I get is that your person is thinking over you a lot because there's some type of psychological effect you have on this person. Like, you must have stood out, because for you to stand out as somebody they can rely on and somebody they can trust tells me that you evoke a sense of reliability, or a deep sense of loyalty, something like that, because I get the impression that this person can be quite self-centered and stubborn. But you bring out the best in them. So I feel you've been very committed to this person. I feel that they've been off doing their own things, not realizing that you've shown such a high level of emotional commitment to them. That's the impression I get. But it shows very clearly here that it brings your person tranquility to think of you, and they love you deeply. So on your side, though, it's a funny thing, because you're going through this stage of reckoning, in a sense, where you're nearly at the end of your cycle with this person in terms of your emotions, and you don't know whether you can recover those emotions. But there's a deep, still that deep sense of commitment to your friendship, and I feel that he's now just developed an equal type of emotion to yours, because before he felt alone in himself, and now he feels like he has a partner in life out there. And I know it's just a thought, because it hasn't been brought into the 3D. I can see that clearly. So I feel that there must be a psychic connection between you, like yeah, there must be a strong psychic connection between you, because I can see that you've had some difficulty trying to evolve out of this relationship. That's what I can see very clearly. because I feel that you've just found your freedom, actually. And you're doing a lot of things lately that you want to do. So I feel that's what has helped you evolve out of the feeling that you want this person by your side all the time. That's where I feel that it's the emotions are more on his side and not on yours. He's a very self-satisfied person in that in some respects he just loves, to maybe have opportunities across the board in terms of love, but he's starting to realize that it doesn't suit him to be that way. It's probably much more associated with male expectations or something. Because I get the impression here that you're not chasing your own shadow anymore, and before you were, because you were holding on to this person pretty much for a cycle, for a good cycle, and that can be long or that can be short. But it tells me also that your person could be overseas into the future. Or you could go overseas together. Or that's what this guy imagines. He has a vast imagination. You can just, get the impression that he thinks over your relationship so much that he goes off on a tangent. And I feel that into the future, or he'll be overseas, so he could be a person from overseas, and he's could be close to you presently, but has to go again because he's from somewhere, another country. That's a strong impression I get. I don't really get a domestic tie here. I get somebody who has stability in their life and instability. So it kind of tells me that this person is a traveler with a permanent base. Yeah, because in the past he's endured some dark times actually. He's had a mountain to climb. It gives me the impression he's been up against some strong enemies. But he's taken it in his stride. And he always just imagines you going to him and him being able to reconcile with you and being your knight in shining armor, something like that. So he's a bit funny in that those aren't exactly material, kind of realistic type scenarios that he's conjured up. So I'm just wondering how he can make this happen in the physical. That's what I wonder. Because you definitely don't want to build castles in the sand with this bloke. And I feel that you feel that if you deny him the ability to drag your emotions along, then you can avoid getting stuck with him. But he definitely admires you. He thinks that you are perfect. But it definitely is like an assertiveness on his part. I feel he's just making wishes at the present time, but into the future, there's a possibility that he could be more assertive in his approach, and that would enable him to move this relationship forward. He would have gone through a lot, so he will be half the man you knew him in the past, but he will be a much more capable person on an emotional level, because I feel before that you got somebody who is a little bit timid in love, but into the future, he kind of has to start from scratch in a lot of different areas of his life, but also with you. So I feel he's going to try to make that good into the future. He might be a bit awkward about it, actually. Shows me somebody who could, I don't know, get it wrong. He could get it wrong. So that tells me, like, I just get the impression it will be a social setting, and I see in my mind's eye you might be out somewhere and there could be some awkwardness. That's the impression I get. And I feel that you'll be out at night. And you may not be a person that goes out at night. So it's kind of funny that this person, that you'll see them somewhere mutually agreeable, because I can see there's been a strong separation between you. There is a possibility, I guess, that he asks you to go somewhere with him. I can't see, maybe early evening. I get early evening, nighttime. Because you're just focused on loving yourself and being the best you can be. You could get a message, that's a possibility, an SMS, something like that into the future. It gives me like 2 weeks. So I guess you'd have to wait and see whether he can take this dream of his, which is a little bit funny because he can be negative. You'd have to wait to see whether he can break through his imaginary state, because it doesn't exactly show that he's in a dream state, but it does show that he can be a little bit dark, on the dark side of things, and sometimes he can think over things so much that he fails to execute what he wants to do. And I don't feel that will affect you much, because I feel that you're really self-focused, and that self-focus has helped you heal, because I feel this reading above all else is about you healing from a cycle of attachment to this person. And this cycle went on for a long time. So it's like you are capable enough of just letting this go and healing your heart. But it's just showing me there's a possibility that there could be some socialization. So I guess you have to decide whether you're willing to take that next step if it happens, because of course you're compromising your independence and your healing self, because I feel that you've had a lot of success at healing, and I definitely feel that you don't want to go backwards. And you will feel, if you have this opportunity to reignite something with this person, that you're going backwards after going through this huge cycle of evolution in terms of your feelings for this person, who for the most part was self-centered, can be dark, has had obstacles in their life, probably stopped the association at the time because they were too self-focused, and also stopped the association at the time because there's a darkness in their soul, so they could have been pessimistic or cynical in the past. So this healing journey they've been on is beneficial because they've made the right realization, but it's like they've had to play catch up to you, who is already on their way to a better future. So I feel that this is a positive reading, but there's some reality that you have to face. And I feel that you're at the pinnacle of that reality, and they're just at the beginning of realizing, first of all, the effect that that separation between you has had, but also there's a time barrier, and I don't feel that they're quite at the stage in their thoughts where they put two and two together, because there's been a length of time, and sometimes there's been distance, and I don't think they think in terms of sticking this back together after such a long time. I think they think in terms of taking the woman, the lady that they want, and taking control of the situation. So all of that you have to take into consideration. But I'm sure that if you get the opportunity, you'll take it. Simply because even though you went through this cycle, you're still open to love. And I feel that's an important element in this mix, because I feel this person was at the point of becoming irrelevant to you. Okay, so that was deck 1. If this reading resonated, please like, share, subscribe and comment. If you would like a personal reading, my details are in the description box below with a link to my website and to my Fiverr account. My website is a PayPal service, so you can send me the funds with a message or you can email me. My Fiverr account is a service facility, and you need your Google details or your Facebook details to log into that facility. See you next time. Hi everyone, this is deck 2. I have pulled the Queen of Cups, the King of Cups, and the Two of Swords. Of course, if this reading resonates, please like, share, subscribe and comment. If you would like a personal reading, my details are in the description box below with a link to my website and to my Fiverr account. My website is a PayPal service, so you can send me the funds with a message or you can email me. My Fiverr account is a service facility, so you need your Google details or your Facebook details to log into that facility. Back to the reading. I get the impression here that you're perfect for one another, but at some point you've separated, and I feel that you know that one another is each other's emotional fulfillment. But it's like you're concentrating on other things. I feel that you're both in love with the idea of love. But you're both fairly independent. I feel that your take on the relationship is based on a reality, whereas his isn't. He's always in his thoughts or up in his head about you. And I feel it has something to do with the fact that he has some complication in his life, because I feel that he was partnered before and he's either going through a separation or a divorce. And I feel it distracts him from his new opportunities in love. That's the impression I get. So you're very much a person who's sitting and waiting to offer something to your person, but you feel like you've lost their attention, even though you know that he knows that he's your soulmate and you know that you're his. So it's a funny situation because it's complicated. It's like he's always trying to decide what to do next about your connection, and then he gets caught up in his own affairs. So I feel that your person is highly intelligent and he is very imaginative, and I feel that you inspire him every day and you make him feel really cheerful and optimistic. But I feel that if that energy turns, he can become like very depressive, very deceptive. I feel there's like a fragility to his character, and it probably has a lot to do with the fact that he is largely a water sign, or he has a lot of water in his chart. So at the moment he's in a positive frame of mind. He feels like he can get everything he wants. And I feel that you're the person that he sits, that you're the emotion really. He looks upon you kind of like an emotional opportunity. So he's taking that emotional opportunity or that prospect of having an emotional connection with someone that's real and placing it between himself and his problems. Whereas you are very self-focused. I feel that you're a loving and open-hearted person in and of yourself, but you're not really turned in his direction. I feel that has something to do with the fact that you acknowledge this person's connection to you on an emotional plane, and you're happy about it in the respect that it feels nice to be loved. But you are more concerned about taking charge of your emotional affairs and really focusing on where it is that you want to be in terms of your love life. Because you understand, I feel that you understand there's an emotional connection that your person's disconnecting from, and it doesn't exactly show up as a third party situation, but there is that element where there's been some strife in your person's personal life, and it's become a really big focus because it's caused a breakup. Not particularly his emotions for you, even though they are a big factor, because you're always in the back of your person's mind. So you would have been a contributing factor to that decision. But, it shows to me that there's just, life happens kind of thing. It's not one particular thing, but you seem to be the person that drives them forward in terms of their emotional ambition. So I feel your person's stuck between their anxiety and their happiness about you both. I feel your person's quite close to you at the present time, very close. I feel that your person would insist on that closeness because it seems to me that he has a really big focus on your emotional connection. It's just that he becomes distracted, and presently he is distracted. He's not really facing you, which is funny. It's like to him it's enough that he's in the same vicinity, or or there is that emotional closeness. I mean, with I kind of get the feeling that your person's from overseas. But that wouldn't apply to everybody, I guess. But that's a strong message here that I'm picking up. So you have somebody here, I guess, who can be quite domineering. Because they're using the love that they've developed for you to defend their position in terms of their other relationship. Because I feel that things are getting quite acrimonious. Your person can be quite aggressive, and I feel they had quite a long-term relationship, but it's dissolved. Something about the devotion to one another has dissolved. So that tells me that maybe it was like a sex-based, a permanent, but have we seen this before, like a permanent sex-based relationship. They kind of were together for a long time, but it was based on something that didn't require a lot of emotional input. So no wonder, I feel the length of time must have worn on in this situation, because it shows me very clearly that your person's really aggressive about getting what they want from this partner, or very stern about being separated from the partner. So it tells me that they're at the end of their cycle, and they're just at the beginning of a very acrimonious stage of their connection. So I feel like into the future there will be a permanent separation, and that makes things easier for you because you then have somebody who is available, emotionally available to you, and that's exactly what you want. I feel I get an image about your person pondering you both. He seems to sit somewhere and ponder over you both quite extensively. Like, he's really thinking about the impact bringing you into his life would make. So he's like of two minds, because there seems to be like a complication to it all. Where he doesn't want to feel judged. So that tells me there could be like an age difference or a societal difference. Something about this relationship is unbalanced, because you can see that he has very genuine feelings for you, but that something stops him from being able to exercise those thoughts. Could be your person had kids in the past. That's a big focus as well. So we're talking about something your person's in. They're in quite a bit of emotional strife, I feel, because they have a funny setup. They're with a partner who satisfied them in one aspect of their life but not another, or didn't emotionally fulfill them, or where they had a very superficial emotional connection and it's ultimately dissolved, and they could have had a kid or kids, something like that, because it seems to me it was something established but not based on anything solid. So he can keep that. But in terms of yourself, I feel that it's true love. It's actually beautiful. But there's some misunderstanding you have, or some willful denial in you, like you don't accept his emotional terms, and I feel it has a lot to do with his situation as it stands, because it is complicated. So I feel you acknowledge there's a connection, and it's a profound connection, and you accept that. But you're so self-focused and self-loving that I feel that you could just turn away from the opportunity. I feel this is kind of a very funny scenario, but maybe it's just the situation as it stands. It's like you don't want a partnered person, you don't want a third party situation. You have something in your life going which is emotionally stable and reliable. You feel you're in a positive frame of mind. But you think because of this situation that your person has going with the other partner who they're in a situation, a acrimonious situation with, you feel that it's in some respect not worth your while. It's a funny situation. It's like you have some type of opinion on his situation, and I feel it has something to do with the fact that you understand that whatever he had going wasn't all that sincere, and you question his motives and his sincerity because you can't understand the setup. And it's even difficult for me looking at these cards to understand what it is he was getting at, because I guess you can form a type of habit with a person, but the habit that your person formed with their partner was quite negative. It was a negative cycle. It wasn't positive. So maybe it was just a battle of wills in the end, quite possibly. But it then puts into question your sincerity in love. It's like you're trying to find your true love. You see this person as somebody who you could fall in love with or who you are in love with, but there's another side to you which is quite sensible. Like, you're not going off on a tangent with this person. You're very frank about understanding the dynamics of his other situation, which doesn't suit you in love. It's like, well, what do I become into the future? Do I become some type of weird partner to this person? Do I become objective? Am I looked upon as an objective into the future? That sort of thing. Because it seems to me he had a very objective relationship and you want something more subjective, more connected. So you're really quite stubborn about that particular aspect. It's not like you turn this guy away if he offered you something. It's just that he's got to find opportunity because he's becoming distracted. He's becoming kind of airy-fairy because he has one foot in, one foot out, and that doesn't really suit you either. So I feel it's his lack of proactivity as opposed to whether you'll accept him or reject him. But in that time, it makes you think about this person and their motives. So I feel that there's potential here. You have a king and a queen together. It seems like you're perfect on an emotional level, and probably on an astrological plane. But it seems to me that this guy could have done his dash, to be quite honest with you. And he would have done his dash by leaving you in a lurch, either on an emotional plane or on a physical plane. But if you're asking what the truth of his feelings are, well, they're deep feelings of love which are genuine. But his cutting nature is difficulty. It's like, how could you have loving intentions and also be cruel? Like, doesn't mesh well, especially given your objective is all about love. It's not about hate. It's not about cruelty. It's about love, where this person can dissolve into cruelty if they're feeling hurt. And I feel you have understood that simply from what you've observed. So it will be interesting to see how this develops. It kind of shows that another separation is imminent between you. If there's another separation between you on an emotional plane or a physical plane, it will be you who puts their foot down, to be quite honest. Because I feel that you feel you can't withstand any more separation, simply because you're after something very particular, and you're very focused on it. So I feel this person has to be cautious. If they're not cautious, they're going to hurt themselves badly because they underestimate you. Okay, so that was deck 2. If this reading resonates, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. If you would like a personal reading, my details are in the description box below with a link to my website and to my Fiverr account. My website is a PayPal service, so you can send me the funds with a message or you can email me. My Fiverr account is a service facility, and you need your Google details or your Facebook details to log into that facility. See you next time.